Good morning. Looks like our attendance today is 72. Last Sunday we had 74. A year ago today we had 60. Do see a few visitors with us this morning. We welcome you here and invite you back anytime you can be with us. We are always glad to have visitors. Do we have anyone that's had a birthday or an anniversary and wishes to contribute to the birthday bank? Saved me any ice cream? You did not. Your grandma said you was having ice cream last night. Oh, tonight. Well, maybe I'll show up tonight. Yeah. Show up tonight. That's a good thing. Birthday, Gail? Anniversary.
How many years? 67.
67 years. Very good. Okay, did I miss anyone? Okay, as most of you know, Approaching Grace Ministry, we take up an offering on the first Sundays of every month for them, so we will do that right after church, so don't forget that. I've got several announcements up here. This is from Ethan Butler. It says the Union Temple is having an ice cream social Tuesday, August the 8th, 4 to 8 o'clock. Everyone is welcome, so I'm sure that would be very good. So that is this Tuesday. Coming up this Saturday, it says Amber and Caleb. It says, please join us Sunday, the 12th of August, 2023 at 6 o'clock in the evening. This will be at Whippoorwill Acres at Lancaster, Missouri. It says dinner and reception to immediately follow. So that is this Saturday. Is this working? Is it working? Okay. Okay, so don't forget that. That's this Saturday. So you got something to go to on Tuesday, and you've also got something to go to on Saturday. It says the Winnigan Fair and 150 Sesquicentennial Celebration, September 22nd to the 24th. It says your help is needed. Upcoming planning meeting is August the 9th, so that is Wednesday. Okay, so you got somewhere to go Tuesday, Wednesday, and Saturday. So that's the upcoming planning meeting, and that is at 7 p.m. Community work meeting is August the 30th, and that is at 5 p.m. That is the cleaning of the community building and surrounding areas, as well as the lodge hall. It says if you have items in the lodge hall, please remove them prior to this, or they will be disposed of. The Kitchen and Food Committee will meet at 6 p.m. on August the 30th. So the cleanup is at 5, and the volunteer meeting will also be held at 6. Also, they are selling shirts for the I can't even say it, Sesquicentennial. Anyway, they're selling shirts. They're $15 each. If you are interested, there is a measurement sheet up here and stuff, and you can get a hold of some of them and get you a shirt ordered. Is there any more announcements this morning? Susan's got one.
I just would like to ask people to put on their calendars August 21st, Monday, August 21st. We are going to be officially adopting Lily, so we are going to celebrate her Gotcha Day at the Winnigan Community Building from 5 to 7, and everyone's welcome to come and grab some food and just love on her a little. Thank you.
Glad that is finally happening. Great. Okay, is there any more announcements? Got one way over there, Rodney. Yeah, this is recorded, so we got to hear what you got to say.
Recorded. Just asking for prayers. My dad found out this past week that he has prostate cancer, and they go next week for some decisions to be made. I'm just asking for God's guidance and peace.
Okay, do we have any more announcements?
This Thursday, Lifeline is having a concert at the Crossing in Kirksville at 7 p.m. Colton Dixon will be performing. You can go online and buy tickets. They're all online, so no printing out. It'll all be on your phone. So please come join us. We would love to have all of you there.
Sounds to me like the week is filling up. There's something about every night. We got one up here, Rodney. We got another one back there. Got one up here.
This is to follow up what Charity talked about last week about making some blankets downstairs. Her and I have been brainstorming this week, and so I'm going to sew up some floor pillows. But for any of us women who sew, and you know when you buy that extra bit of fabric because you want to make sure you have enough fabric, so you got this little bit you need left over, and your husband just basically goes, "What's that junk?" Well, I could use just pieces that are 36 inches long and 6 inches wide at the most to 2 inches. So if anybody just has any bright kid fabric, you know, because they're just going to be straight, quick, fast things. And so if anybody wants to donate it, you can just bring it up, drop it off at the church. You know, I'll stop by and grab it. So, and any fiber fill, you know, you got that extra little piece that you just been hanging on to forever. You know, we just stuff them in there, and I'm gonna make some pillows. So, and Cherry and I are gonna get this together.
Okay, is there anything else? Mary's back there got one.
I need to put a correction in the bulletin. If the concert is on Thursday, I listed it as the 12th, which is Saturday, so I've made a mistake in there. So if you're planning to go to that concert, don't go by me.
Okay, is there anything else? No one else? If there's nothing further, we'll turn the service over to Ryan.
Man, it's been a while since I did this. How many of you are so thrilled that we have Mike and Debbie? Isn't that cool? I love Mike and Debbie. And I'm a little disappointed that I'm not fishing with them right now. In Canada, of all places. So I got 7 quick phrases of wisdom for you this morning. See if you can relate. Okay, here's the first one. Put your hand on a hot stove for a minute, and it seems like an hour. Sit with a pretty girl for an hour, and it seems like a minute. That's Albert Einstein's theory of relativity, says. Another one, a smile is an inexpensive way to improve your looks, Charles Gordy. Some cause happiness wherever they go, others whenever they go. Right? Yeah, Oscar Wilde. Okay. When I look back on all these worries, I remember the story of the old man who said on his deathbed that he had had a lot of trouble in his life, most of which had never happened. Winston Churchill. Something to think about. If you think you're too small to be effective, you have never been in the dark with a mosquito. Yeah. Betty Reese, okay? If people knew how hard I had to work to gain my mastery, it wouldn't seem wonderful at all. Michelangelo. Okay, and lastly, if at first you don't succeed, skydiving is not for you. So, okay, 2 Kings 4. Let's go there if you would. 2 Kings chapter 4. We're going to go a lot of places, so try to hang with me. I'll say them as quickly as I can as we go. I'll start reading. 2 Kings chapter 4, verse 1. And now a certain woman of the wives of the sons of the prophets cried out to Elisha, "Your servant, my husband, is dead, and you know that he feared the Lord, and his creditor has come to take my 2 children and to be his slaves." Elisha said to her, "What shall I do for you? Tell me, what do you have in the house?" And she said, "Your maidservant has nothing in the house except a jar of oil." Then he said, "Go borrow vessels at large from your neighbors, from all your neighbors, even empty vessels. Do not get a few, and you shall go in and shut the door behind you and your sons and pour out into these vessels, and you shall set aside what is full." 5, so she went from him and shut the door behind her and her sons. They were bringing the vessels to her, and she poured. When the vessels were full, she said to her son, "Bring me another vessel." And he said to her, "There is not one vessel more." And the oil stopped. 7, then she came and told the man of God, and he said, "Go sell the oil and pay your debt, and you and your sons can live on the rest." Okay, we'll stop there. I want to challenge you right now, this very moment, to take a real introspective look on your life. Your own life. Look deep into your own life, okay? Just you and God. I want you to answer this question for yourself. Who or what is your spiritual identity? Okay? Your spiritual identity. Honestly, transparently, what person are you currently depending on spiritually? In your mind, write their names down. Okay? Maybe it's your parents. They provide like everything for you. Your food, your house, your transportation, your bedtime, you know. Maybe it's your spouse. You've been married a few years or a lot of years. Maybe you have children together. Maybe you rely on their income. You rely on their love. You rely on their help. You rely on them spiritually, maybe, for their spiritual stability. Maybe it's a person you're dating. You talk to them every day. They text you a good night before you go to sleep. They laugh with you. They cry with you. They make you feel happy, make you feel loved, make you feel close to God. Maybe it's your child. You love it when they call you. You go to dinner with them. They help you with things you can no longer do. They lift your spirits. They make you happy. They take you back to the good old days. Maybe it's your close friend. Your friend is always upbeat. They lift you up. Maybe it's your grandparents. They love you unconditionally. They always interested in you. They love you to hear you sing. They love to hear you talk. They love to watch you play sports. That was me. My grandpa loved to hear me play music. I wrote that one for me. And always a listening ear there. Who's the person for you that's like your spiritual identity? If you're going to really be honest, who would that be for you? Or is there a person like that for you? You're depending on them spiritually. You are depending on them. You depended on them this morning. You might not want to admit it, but you did. Verse 1, now a certain woman of the wives of the sons of the prophets cried out to Elisha, "Your servant, my husband, is dead, and now you know that he feared the Lord. And his creditor has come to take my 2 children to be his slaves." A certain woman of the wives of the sons of the prophets cried out to Elisha. This doesn't say the woman is a prophet, doesn't say the woman is this or that or close to it. It just continues saying her husband. And he feared the Lord, and his creditor came to take my 2 children. This lady's spiritual identity somewhat is removed, maybe, from God. Her identity was the wife of this man, good or bad. And it just hit me while reading this that her sole identity is coming from the son of a prophet. It could be that that's the case. Now, in the story, all of a sudden her husband dies. He dies, her world crashes, which causes this woman to surface in the Bible. Don't hear about her before this. Now she's front and center. The Bible's focused on her. And she cried out to Elisha, "My husband is dead, and you know he feared the Lord. His creditor has come to take my 2 children." She's crying out to Elisha. She's desperate. She's in trouble. This could be you, like right now. Bills are stacking up. Worried about your children. She's in that spot. But the person she's depended on is gone. And in desperation, she calls out to Elisha. Your servant, my husband, is dead, and he feared the Lord. She wants Elisha to understand and remember that her husband was a servant who feared the Lord. Really think about your own self. Is this kind of you? You know, maybe the person you're sitting with is the one that's, kind of leading you spiritually. I need help because of him. He's gone. This is a brutally honest deal. Is your spiritual identity through them? April 29th, 1991. Some of you are old enough to remember this. Andover, Kansas, suburb on the east side of Wichita. Kevin Taylor, 27 years old, stood up and dropped his plate on the kitchen table. He ran outside, leaped into his truck. He then raced over 100 miles an hour down the road to escape a huge tornado entering his neighborhood at 6:45 p.m. The Weather Service clocked the winds in the tornado ranging from 200 to 250 miles an hour. Debris found in Topeka over 120 miles away. 8 people hospitalized. 400 homes destroyed. 14 residents lost their lives in that tornado. Little did anybody know that the local dispatcher, the police dispatcher, was in the dispatch office frantically hitting the radio button to try to activate the tornado sirens. They weren't going off. They were not happening. But nothing happened. No tornado sirens ever sounded. The town went to driving the streets, people driving the streets, honking their horns. But it was too late. The direct link designed to communicate with the people was completely inoperable. It was offline. Wasn't going to happen. It hadn't been tested in several years. Is your direct link with God, is it online right now? Is it a direct link? Is it going through somebody else? Are you here in church this morning because someone else got up? I'm just asking. What's the condition, the current condition of your direct link to God? Who do you depend on spiritually? Are you relying on someone else to get a hold of him on the PA? Maybe it's your mom or your kids or your preacher. Verse 2, Elisha said to her, what shall I do for you? Tell me, what do you have in the house? And she said, your maidservant has nothing in the house except a jar of oil. That's verse 2. I get the feeling Elisha sees the real problem here. He sees that in all reality, this lady has no connection with God. No connection of her own. This actually can sneak up on you. You realize that? It can sneak up on you where you don't have a connection with God. You can just start edging away from God, kind of going the way of the world, doing your job and just moving away. And all of a sudden, now your connection with God is through somebody else. Oh, I'll go with you over here to get closer to God. And when that person checks out, you're still just a long ways away. There's a lot of distance there. Or there can be no connection with God. If all of your family quit coming to church, would you still go? Some people over here are shaking their head yes. No, they're not. Would you still go if all of your family quit coming? All of them. Would you still go? If nobody around you read the Bible, would you still read your Bible? Would you still take it with you? She said, your maidservant has nothing in the house except a jar of oil. Nothing in the house except a jar. A jar of oil. Interesting, you can be completely broke, in despair, nothing left, and God will say, look around. Just look around a little bit. Maybe you're there now. Maybe you're in a spot where you're hurting pretty bad. God may be telling you, just look around. Just look around just a little bit. Just look around. See what's there. What do you have left? Sometimes God takes everything away so you will just look around. He just wants you to see what's still there that you might be missing. She doesn't have much. House is falling apart. Husband's gone now. No food in the fridge, no car, no job. Doesn't have a real connection with God now. And yet God says, hey, I see you have something left. I see you have something. That's what God's saying. Then he said, go borrow vessels, verse 3, at large for yourself from all your neighbors, even empty vessels. Do not get a few. Okay, you got to go get some containers. Don't get a few of them. Let's get a lot of them. This is God's response to you when everything falls apart. So if this is you, here we go. If you came to church this morning in despair, God says, you might be looking at this all wrong because you might still have something. You might have something. I think every one of us in here has been in this situation. Maybe some of the young people have not yet. But man, if you've lived for a while, you have. I'm getting ready to show you something really cool in Revelation. But before I do that, here's what we have to do. We have to go get some more jars. We have to go get some more jars, some containers. He didn't tell her to go get some more oil. He said, go get more containers. You're going to need some containers. Okay? You're struggling in life. You're missing some things. You're going to need a container for that. Don't go get that. Go get the container for it. Maybe if it's a money issue, you're going to need to open a savings account. Maybe if you don't have a car, you need to put some gravel in your driveway to have a good place to park a car. Maybe if you don't have any friends, you should sit down at the table tonight and start writing some encouraging notes to friends that you're going to have. Maybe you need to plan on having some good friends, That's how you keep friends, is you encourage the friends. Or you may not have the friends. For right now, for you, are you looking for the oil or are you looking for the containers? Really. I'm looking for the oil. Seems like every day I'm trying to find more oil. And this just kind of struck me. I wonder if I'm looking for the wrong thing. God wants us to prepare for what He's going to give you, even if you don't have it yet. And you shall go in and shut the door behind you, verse 4, and your sons, and pour out into all these vessels, and you shall set aside what is full. So she went from him and shut the door behind her sons. They were bringing the vessels to her, and she poured. Don't miss this part. In a way, part of what she lost in her husband has already been replaced with 2 willing children. Who are bringing the jars to her as fast as they can. These kids are all in. These kids are doing all they can do to help. Ever know some kids who are all in? If you've never known a kid who's all in, you should stop by youth group tonight. Kids there that are all in. They're all in. They don't like me to call them kids. I'm supposed to call them students, but I call them kids anyway. They're all in. Students that are all in, that's God, if you want to know the truth. That's God providing for you. When the vessels were full, she said to her son, bring me another vessel. And he said to her, there's not one vessel more. And the oil stopped. Then she came out and told the man of God, and he said, go sell the oil and pay your debt, and you and your sons can live on the rest. He sent enough that she needed right then and enough to live on later. God spent verse 4, verse 5, verse 6, and verse 7 pouring into her jars what would take care of her. See, she wasn't bringing the oil in. God was pouring the oil in to her life. But the real big problem for her was that it was revealed that she had not much of a connection with God. And her connection was lost through her husband. So her husband was removed. And I wonder if it was to show her that he was the connection and she was missing that. Have you ever had somebody removed from your life? It's like removed. Makes no sense. Maybe God's trying to show you something new. Maybe he's trying to show you a new, real connection you could have with him. Okay, here we go. Revelation chapter 4. I've been waiting for this. Tuesday, I read Revelation chapter 5 on my way to work, 5 o'clock in the morning, and I was just like almost in tears. But I want to read this to you. Revelation chapter 4, verse 1. After this I looked, and there before me was a door standing open in heaven. This is Revelation 4, verse 1. And the voice I had first heard speaking to me like a trumpet said, "Come up here, and I will show you what must take place after this." Verse 2, at once I was in the Spirit. Okay, could be evident what happens when you die there. Immediately in the Spirit. Right there with God. And there before me was a throne in heaven with someone sitting on it. And the one who sat there had the appearance of jasper and carnelian, a rainbow resembling an emerald encircled the throne that he was seeing. Revelation 5, verse 1. Then I saw in the right hand of him who sat on the throne a scroll with writing on both sides and sealed with 7 seals. I'm going to show you a real connection right here. It's not a preacher or a husband or a church or what. This is it. And I saw a mighty angel proclaiming in a loud voice, "Who is worthy to break the seals and open the scroll?" But no one in heaven or on earth or under the earth could open the scroll or even look inside it. I wept and wept because no one was found who was worthy to open the scroll or look inside. Then one of the elders said to me, "Do not weep. See, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the root of David, has triumphed. He is able to open the scroll and its 7 seals." Then I saw the Lamb. Verse 6, looking as if it had been slain. I wonder what that looks like. Standing in the center of the throne, encircled by 4 living creatures and elders, he had 7 horns and 7 eyes, which are the 7 spirits of God sent out into all the earth. Verse 7, next. He came and took the scroll from the right hand of him who sat at the throne. Now Lamb's got the scroll. And when he had taken it, the 4 living creatures and the 24 elders fell down before the Lamb. Each one had a harp, and they were holding golden bowls full of incense, which are the prayers of the saints. And they sang a new song. You are worthy to take the scroll and to open its seals because you were slain. And with your blood you purchased men for God from every tribe and language and people and nation. You have made them to be a kingdom and a priest to serve our God, and they will reign on the earth. Then I looked, and I heard the voice of many angels. This is insane. Numbering thousands upon thousands and 10,000 times 10,000. They encircled the throne and the living creatures and the elders. In a loud voice they sang, "Worthy is the Lamb who was slain to receive power and wealth and wisdom and strength and honor and glory and praise." I wonder if that's like a round going there with a song. Then I heard every creature in heaven and on earth and under the earth and on the sea and all that is in them singing. This is a different song. To him who sits on the throne and the Lamb be praise and honor and glory and power forever and ever. You got 3 songs going at once here. The 4 living creatures said amen, and the elders fell down and worshiped. Verse 1 says, God on his throne in heaven holding a scroll in his right hand with writing on both sides of it, and it is sealed with 7 seals. And I saw a mighty angel, verse 2, who was worthy to break the seals and open the scroll. This angel is like, I got to know what's on the scroll. He is super intense on knowing what's on the scroll. Verse 3, but no one in heaven, on earth, or under the earth could open the scroll or even look inside it. There is a scroll in God's right hand in heaven, and it has writing on both sides. It is sealed, and no one is worthy to open the scroll. No one, except the Lamb that was slain. And when you see the Lamb, you know the Lamb was slain. I wonder why. I just wonder, what are you seeing there? John is in the Spirit right now, it says. Allowed to look into heaven, able to see God sitting on his throne in heaven. Sees thousands upon thousands, 10,000s times 10,000s of angels encircling the throne. That equals 100 million angels. Plus, surrounding the throne of God in heaven. John sees 100 million angels surrounding the throne of God in heaven. Surrounding the throne where God sits with a scroll in his hand with writing on both sides. How do you see 100 million angels and a scroll, and you can identify that there's writing on both sides and it's sealed with 7 seals? This thing's got to be like glowing. Angels crying out day and night, holy, holy, holy is the Lord God Almighty, who was and who is to come. This is real. It's probably in progress right now in heaven. And John sees a scroll in the right hand of God. How does he even see the thing? I don't get it. How close is he to that throne? How can he see a scroll with 100 million angels around a throne? How? An emerald rainbow. That's like green, isn't it? Rainbow around the throne. Emerald rainbow. I guess there's different colors of rainbows in heaven. And he can see writing on both sides. This is a little side note. You're probably going to have pretty good eyesight in heaven. If you're wondering. No more reminder on your phone that you missed your eye exam, How can he see this where he's standing? Verse 6, then I saw a lamb, looking as if it had been slain, standing in the center of the throne. That's Jesus. What does he look like? How is it that he looks like a lamb that had been slain? I can't get that yet. Philippians 4:3. And I entreat thee also, true yokefellow, help those women which labored with me in the gospel, with Clement also, and with other my fellow laborers, whose names are in the book of life. Luke 10:20, but rather rejoice because your names are written in heaven. Your names are written in heaven. I could go on with a ton of scriptures about your name written in heaven. I don't know what was or is on that scroll. I personally don't know. That is there in God's right hand. But if I had to make a guess, based on what I've read in the Bible, I would guess that it's your name. That's just my guess. Your spiritual identity on that scroll in God's right hand. Your spiritual identity is Jesus Christ, the Lamb that was slain. He's the only one worthy to open the scroll in God's right hand. And I saw a mighty angel proclaiming in a loud voice, who is worthy to break the seals and open the scroll? 100 million angels surrounding the throne of God, also wanting to know what's on the scroll. That's a lot of angels. And the Bible also says in Hebrews 1:14, aren't all angels ministering spirits sent to serve those who will inherit salvation? Aren't all angels ministering spirits sent to you, who will inherit salvation? Salvation? And now they're encircling the throne like, I want to know what's on the scroll. Man. All angels created for you to minister to those whose names are written in heaven. I wonder if your name is written there. I wonder if my name is written there, Matthew 25:31 says, when the Son of Man comes in his glory and all the angels with him. Okay, so is that 100 million, 10,000 times 10,000 right there? It's going to be a lot of angels showing up. He will sit on his throne in heavenly glory. All the nations will be gathered before him, and he will separate the people one from another as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. He will put the sheep on his right. Okay, are you seeing this? You're telling me that on Judgment Day, the sheep will be put on the right where the scroll is? Hebrews 12:1, therefore we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses. Let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us. Let us fix our eyes on Jesus, the Lamb that was slain, the author and perfecter of our faith, who for the joy set before him endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand at the throne of God. So now you have all of the sheep, and you have Jesus, and you have the scroll on the right hand of the throne of God. Your spiritual identity is Jesus Christ. Your name is written in heaven. If everyone you know stops worshiping God, you have to continue worshiping God. You can't stop. If your kids fall away, you can't stop. And some of you are dealing with that. If your parents fall away, you can't stop. You have to keep reading the Bible. You have to keep studying it. You have to keep following Jesus. You can't give up because someone else's faith falls apart. Go gather up your containers, line them up, and identify with Jesus Christ as the only way that you get to heaven, because your name is written in heaven in the Lamb's Book of Life. Stop depending on your boyfriend or your girlfriend or your preacher or your parents or your children to get you to worship your Heavenly Father. Your identity is the blood of Jesus Christ. You are the sheep. Jesus is the lamb that was slain. We all sit down at the right hand of the throne of God in the end. That's where the scroll is. Romans 8 says, "For you did not receive a spirit that makes you a slave again to fear, but you received the spirit of sonship. And by him we cry, Abba, Father." The Spirit himself testifies with our spirit that we are God's children. Now, if we are children, then we are heirs of God and co-heirs with Christ, if indeed we share in the sufferings, in order that we may also share in his glory. I just personally wonder if this scroll is so valuable to God, and it's in his right hand, and the only person able to open it, worthy to open it, is a lamb who was slain, and he's sitting there holding that. It doesn't talk about anything else he's holding on the throne. If that scroll is so important to him, and if it happens to be that your name is on it, if in some way he thinks of you like Jesus, a lamb who was slain, because of the wild stuff you've gone through in your life, you know. Only person who can read that scroll is a lamb who was slain. Only people who are going to be at the right hand of Jesus is the right hand of God is Jesus and sheep, which are also lambs that were probably slain. I think you are so incredibly precious to God that we may not realize it, you know. God's sitting there holding that scroll for some reason, and that's what John was able to see over the heads of 100 million angels. Revelations 3 verse 5 says, "He who overcomes will like them be dressed in white. I will never blot out his name from the book of life, but will acknowledge his name before my Father and his angels." Jesus is going to acknowledge your name and not ever blot it out from the book of life. If you overcome, but you have to overcome. To him who overcomes. See, Jesus was an overcomer on the cross. And it says in Revelation 3:21, "To him who overcomes, I will give the right to sit with me on my throne, just as I overcame and sat down with my Father on his throne." So right now in your life, you have to overcome. You have no choice but to overcome at this point. Make Jesus Christ your spiritual identity, no one else. Completely identify every part of your life with Jesus and watch how he takes care of you. Watch how he fills the jars. We're going to sing a hymn of invitation. And you know, this might be a day where you need to just say, "I belong to Jesus." And if that's the case, I would encourage you to do that. Do not wait, because Jesus may show up with those angels quicker than we think. We're going to sing a song of invitation, 378, I Surrender All. If you would stand, sing with me. 378, let's stand and sing.